Well, the Fulton Public Library has collected stories from city residents for the past 4 years, and this year they published the book entitled The Heart of Fulton, At Home and Abroad, World War II and the Korean War.
The book is a compilation of stories from over 50 community members. Mary Kimball is the project team leader who interviewed all those members and recorded their stories. And she's joined by Betty Maute, a librarian at the Fulton Public Library. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
You know, this is a really interesting premise, Mary, because this is sort of the fourth installment of this type of book. And this year you've chosen to focus on the Korean War and veterans who've served then. You know, is there always a focus in these books, or how did you come to choose that one this year?
It's not just Korea, it's World War II and Korea.
World War II and Korea, okay.
And I think we probably should tell the story of how it all began.
Because it started at the library 4 years ago. We started with a writing workshop at the library, a series of writing workshops to collect positive stories about Fulton. So it's evolved over the years. Every year we have a different theme, and that started with Jim Fafaya and myself doing it. And this year we have 2 new project team members, and that would be Mary's one of them, and Joe Abate is the other. Joe did the book cover, editing, and also the videos we're going to be using at our event next week. And Mary was our inspiration for this year's topic. She and Joe were both previous contributing authors.
Awesome. And so talk about your involvement with the book. And I know it had to have been an emotional process with all of these stories. I can't imagine.
It was. And actually I was at a launching for one of the other books, and I was sitting around the room looking at all of the people there and realizing that this was my community, but that these people were part of a history that I didn't know, and that they had survived and lived through wars that I wasn't a part of. So World War II and Korea struck me as gentlemen and women that were dying every day, and we were losing their stories. So I went up to Jim and I said, Jim, we have to do a story about the veterans. And he said, Mary, there's been a lot of books written about veterans. And I said, no, this one has to be different. It has to be the perspective of what was it like to live in Fulton? What was it like to leave your family? What was it like to come home?
Well, and that's an interesting premise, Mary, because, you know, I think my husband's grandfather served. He's no longer, he's passed away. He served in the Korean War. And it was hard to get him to tell his story.
Yes.
So I wonder, we now have, since it's, you know, he has written it, but how did you get these men to talk? You know, that couldn't have been easy.
Well, and exactly, it wasn't. But when I established with them that I wasn't prying into the privacy of the things that they held in their hearts and they couldn't talk about. I wanted to know, you know, do they remember the night before they left? Did Mom make a special meal? What did they take with them? I had veterans who told me they took a rosary or they took a picture. One gentleman carried an 8x10 picture of his fiancée in his jacket the entire time that he was in the service. My own dad never spoke about the war. My sister and I discovered 2 scrapbooks when we were moving my mom out of her home. And he had kept all of that memorabilia, and we never knew it.
Absolutely.
So that was the way that I asked these gentlemen and some women to tell me the story of their husband or themselves and what it was like to leave Fulton and then to come home. And how were they received? You'd be amazed at how many of them said, we just came home. And yeah, they were happy to see us. And they went to work the next day.
Yeah.
Went right back to work.
Definitely. And then quickly, you know, I know there's so many stories here, so many interviews that you all conducted. What stuck out in your mind from this book and putting it together, either the process or a story that you were told that really, really tugged at your heart?
The theme was the same. They served because they knew they should. And they never thought of themselves as heroes. And they never thought that they should be celebrated. And we know that they should have. but they didn't think that they did anything exceptional.
I know, isn't that something? Isn't that something? Well, okay, the Fulton Memories Honoring Veterans with Memoirs is happening next Thursday at 6:30 at the Cayuga Community College. It's the Event Center in Fulton, New York. And for more information, you could head on down there and check this out. And you're going to want to stay with us. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us.